Hello guys, we will talk about number 10. We will talk about adjust the view size. So please take a look at the picture here. So number 1, it's called ratio. When you want to set ratio to the image or view, you can use this. And number 2, it is when you want to delete constraint. So you can remove from here or you can remove from XML as well. Number 3, it calls high width mode. You can change the view size by toggle on this. When you toggle on this, it can be toggle from fixed to wrap content or to my constraints when you change the number 3. And number 4, when you want to add some margin, when you constrain to any view, so you can add some margin here. And number 5, it constraint bias. As I explained with a previous video, bias is appear when you have a horizontal constraint that you must have a start and end constraint. If you want to talk about vertical bias, so it must has a top constraint and bottom constraint, so the bias will appear. And number 6, it is a constraint list, and it's like information related to the constraint. So right now I will explain in the code so to make understand how to use. So right now we will test with the number 1, ratio. Right now, as you can see that there is a section like rectangle on here and 1 and 1. So for view it doesn't have. So why? So because you don't use you need to set width or height with 0 dp. 0 dp, it means that my constraint. Don't confuse with my parent. Match parent and my constraint is different. For match parents, it refer to like another layout, like here. It doesn't support for the constraint layout. For linear layout or relative layout, you can use a match parent, but for the constraint layout, you want to be matched, so you can use 0 dp. So it means that match constraint. So when you put any width with a match constraint, so it will has the ratio, but the ratio normally you can set from the top 0 dp. So right now the ratio is appear. You can use it. Normally I use content. I use 0 dp for width. So right now it's appear. When I click on it, it add a ratio with 1 to 1, 1 to 1, 1 and 1. So if it's something like that, width. So right now, as you can see that SizeAsRatio will add this we add this with 1 and 1. As normally when you like I used to experiment with designer, they want me to add 16 for the width and for the height 9. But why this one is not working? Because you want, so you need to change to my constraint. So then as you can see that our view, it will be placed for the width it is 16 from this section to this section is 16, and for the height it's 9. So normally you can use like that, width, so this one will be equally. So here they explain about ratio. They said that you understand. As you can see, you can read from here. It said if we set the constraint dimension ratio h, comma 3 semicolon 1, so then it means that width here is a width and height. So width 3, so width will be first computed from another constraint, and then height will be adjusted according to the aspect ratio. The only problem with your implementation is that, so we want to understand this thing. So when you put like this, it means that our width will be compute first, so the rest will be just follow or just to adjust. So this one width and height, so you want width 3 and height only 1. So number 1 already explained. Right now let's explain number 2. What is that? So it said that you can remove it. As you can see, when you hover your mouse, you can see the blue with X. They said delete left constraint, so click it. Right now we remove left constraint, so you can add it back, create left constraint. It has left constraint, but there is margin left, margin start, so you can just remove it. So right now it's working fine. So this section is used to remove the constraint. We go to number 3. Is talk about this section. Right now we are using merge constraint. See, this icon is referred to merge constraint, and you can toggle it. So right now it goes this double arrow. It is a wrap content. Wrap content, it will be just wrap its contents. It don't stretch. And go to another one. This one we call fix. So let's check the definition here. Fix, number 1, fix. You can specify a specific dimension in the text box below by resizing the view in the editor. I already test for you. So for the width, you can change it, but normally I don't use width because constraint is powerful. I just use a much constraint is better. So in some case you can use this, and in other case you can use my constraint. So here is a fix. You toggle again, it become match constraint, so dp, and toggle again, it's wrap content. So it is what do we call that? It is wrap content. The wrap content, the view expand only to match as needed to fit its contents, and my constraint, the view expand as much as possible to meet the constraint on each side. So to go again, then here is this icon is represent my constraint. So my constraint, your view will be placed will be much from this section to this section. Let's go to number 4. We talk about margin. So for my view, I have 0 margin. So if I want to add some margin, just change this value here. So right now you can see there is space, and I want this one 32 margin n. So as you can see, there is 32 here. So this is the how we set margin in the editor layout. and number 4, and right now we go to number 5. Number 5 is that we call constraint bias. As you can see that right now we have both vertical and horizontal. So why it's appear? Because we can use these two because we have a vertical constraint and horizontal constraint. That's why we have. Example, if you remove start, as you can see right now, the start, it means that it's referred to start to end. Start to end is referred to horizontal. So if you remove one, so right now the horizontal bias it's not appear here. So let Ctrl C, we'll be back. So right now it's back again. So let's go to number 6. It's talk about constraint list. I think it's just information related to this constraint. It said that start I add some margin with 8 dp, and I add some margin like 32 dp, and I'm using like vertical bias, horizontal bias, dimension ratio. It's just information. Right now let's go to this section. That normally when you constraint, it has the default value. So let me remove some margin. So I will, okay, so I remove ratio as well, and I use wrap content, and I remove bias. So right now my view is center of the screen. Hello world. So let's explain. Normally when you constraint from start to end, it will be just automatically use constraint width, horizontal width, no, constraint width. Default we use spread by default. When you use spread, it will be much parent like that. It is default. If you want that you still use 0 dp, you still, it means that you still use a merge constraint, but you want it just to wrap content, just change the value here from spread is the default one, and to wrap. So now it's wrap content, but the layout width is 0 dp. So spread and wrap. And this one for the width we have, and we also have a constraint height as well. Normally you change 0 dp here, it will be much parent, and if you don't want it to be much parent, because the default value is it use spread, so you can use wrap instead. So then it's wrap, and you still can use width and height with my constraint. Okay, right now let's talk about I explained some about the ratio, but right now let's get more understand about this. Set SizeAsRatio. In order to have a ratio, your view must have a horizontal or vertical constraint with my constraint. Like here, you must have start or end constraint. So for our view, we have right now we have a start and end. So this condition is correct, and then it said match. So we must use a 0 dp. If you use the wrap content, this one wrap content as well, so the ratio is not appear, so you must have at least one 0 dp. So right now you are using match constraint. Let's change it. We will use my constraint. So right now the ratio is appear, and if you want let's say that designer want you to design one banner that fit the screen from this section to this section. Normally the value for that 16 to 9. So what happened? You should remove some example that we tested before. So right now, as you can see, this is the ratio 16 to 9, and as I explained before, if you put like this, it means that so 16 is width and height, so it means that you want to calculate the height first. So height is 9 and width 16, so height from this from the top to bottom, here is the height, so it's very long, and but the width is longer, it's 16. That's why the view is here, I think. So you can do like this, change to height. So you want it's to calculate the width first, width only width height. So this one width 16, so from this to this 16, and from top to bottom it is 9. So I think we can remove this is default. Let's I think we can put background see our button, it look nice. Here is how we can set the ratio in constraint layout. And another thing is we talk about we need to add a default margin to the when we constrain to something, when we constrain the view to other view, so we need to add. So you can set the value. So here is the one that you can set default margin, example A1 8. So what happened? Right now let's assume that we have one button. So right now it doesn't has any constraint. So you already defined that when you constrain this when constrain any view, so we add the default margin with 8 dp. So let's constrain to this one. Let's zoom in. So you can see that there is 8 margin, 8 dp at the top, because you define here. So let's change it to 24. So when you constrain it, will have 24 dp. See, there is default margin 24 because you already defined it. Let's try another text view as well. So here the default value is 24, so let's constrain it. So we'll be at 24. So you can see here is the 24. So right now the space from the text view to the button is 24 dp. This one is useful when you know that your layout will use the margin with example like 8 dp, always 8 dp spacing. So you can use this one. It's helpful to make you design faster than. Yes, so that's all. So thank you so much that you watch this, and if you get anything from this, please comment and share this video to your friend. Thank you.